Okay, you might have seen Zeitgeist or whatever. Suggest you watch it. Describes who I am. Doesn't give a totally inclusive answer, but uh, says gives you a lot of the problems that I deal with and stuff like that, and a lot of problems that you deal with. The only problem is you don't deal with them. You just let crap bankers go ahead and stuff like that. It's pretty obvious to me that your dollar has a yeast infection, which is not surprising to me, since most of your women are fucking sluts and or douchebags or whatever you want to call them. Uh, what else is there? Globalist agenda is not something that's connected to the Bible. The Bible was written to actually stop global agenda, but global agenda is the Antichrist theology, which you all have no fucking clue about. The countries were made in the same way the Titanic was. If you have many countries, then you have many compartments of the ship that you can lock. And if you have one country, then you cannot lock that ship from sinking the Titanic. That's why I don't agree with globalist agenda. I do believe with one world currency, but not a globalist agenda where there's free borders and stuff like that. A one world currency was segregated currency. I get a lot of sass in the TV and stuff like that. I don't really agree with it, but people are entitled to their own opinion. However, it doesn't really hold up in any sense of reality. Most people just put aside people's futures to further their own agenda. However, it would be that their agenda is thwarted by a reality of indigenous awandagens. Meaning, when you worship a god of snake, a snake god, don't be surprised if you turn into a snake. If you want everybody to be a snake, then tell them what to do and who to worship. If you want them to be a goat, then try sit and get fucked up worse than my life is. You see? I don't really see any point in trying to convince any of you of anything, because you proved in the past that you just want to follow your own gods, and you might recognize that there's a lot of earthquakes happening, and Fukushima was hit by a tidal wave, and there's radiation leaking. Well, see, when you follow many gods, that's what happens, because it's like trying to stabilize an atom. You can't stabilize an atom when there's a million different people pulling at different torque levels on each side of the atom. Okay, so if you want to stop the earthquakes, stop following your own mundane usership agreements, because you aren't following your own God. You're following a user agreement. So why do you claim that you're free when you're not destroyed? Do you see what I'm getting at here? If you're following your own God, you're not free. Because if you were free, you'd be... What you're thinking about is the big rip, okay? It's where people become these celestial beings or whatever. Yeah, okay, Tinkerbell. I'm sure that's really going to happen. What's likely going to happen is you you'll turn into zombies and start eating your own flesh. That's more than likely what's going to happen because they pushed because it's the abortion pill. It when you have abortion, when you legalize abortion, it tells you that there's no. It's like the linchpin in uh, human rights. Okay, if you don't value a little baby's life, then why should anybody value yours? Because since you were a little baby at one time, uh, well, it's pretty obvious to me what the answer to that is. But I'm not gonna try and thou art you with wildest pornography or saddest herring statures or boob jobs on the Statue of Liberty, to try and get your vote or anything. Like I want your vote or something like that. I don't. Because my life would be too complicated anyways. It's too complicated already, and I don't want my little, well, that's classified. What else? I study a lot. Oh, I turned on the lights in the Milky Way 2 days ago, and you may say that's impossible, but it's not. It's called cosmological pharmacology, and harps thou dwellest in the saddest cultures is basically the hashtag or whatever that you wouldst push or put us on that quote, which is mine. Uh, you get a lot of these people trying to hide me or whatever, like this trashiest Mayweather or whatever, who is some kind of UFC fighter or something like that, and what it really is someone trying to mask my sister's IP address or something like that, who's Trish Evans, and I put a picture of her on my Twitter. Yeah, they've been trying to hide me for for a long time, since 2002 when I first showed up. Actually, I did show up in the year 2000 on New Year's, but it's not when I decided to open the door, you know. Uh, I have a lot of weight on my shoulders, many star systems to adhere to, because I am contracted in these universal agreements pushed by the space-time continuum, or have you would, the Star Trek insurrection deviation or delirium context, since because TV is there to steal your soul. Okay, what they do is there's a formula that they follow. Every show follows a formula. Usually it's the logical formula. Okay, but that formula is there so you can keep on forgetting and keep on asking the same questions. It says in the Bible, where would they be if they had if where would the people be if they had one language or something like that, or they made many languages, because where would they be if they only had one? Well, that was there to make compartments of the ark. Okay, the Titanic, same thing. They did the same thing in the Titanic. Okay, it's not a like when they talk about countries and stuff like that, like in the Bible, or lakes and rivers. It's not talking about lakes in geography as you would. Geography as you would talk about it normally. It's talked about in a clock basis. Like, you know about the doomsday clock, right? Okay, well, the truth is that there's no such thing as a clock. A clock was there to act as a cloaking device for a map. Okay, a map that you don't need to look for because it's is derived in base energy or base code as you would write it today. You know, like, you don't need to do that because there's no point in reinventing the wheel if it's already been invented. Like, that's 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 hogwash. You know, like, to keep doing that over and over again because then everybody's gonna want to do it, and then the atom would destabilize if everybody was doing that. Like, when I said I was God, or when I said I am God, and God stands for given or derived. I was talking about a lot of things, but that's for you to discover yourselves. I'm not gonna sit here and list them all because I don't want to be a mook, you know. Uh, well, we'll put this on the air, see what's going on. Okay, let's talk to you later.